page.
Wait, can we fill these with?
Okay, so we took notes back on April 14th using square roots. Okay, so you'll just want to hit the second, like you can watch the video back on that page. So this will be the second page of that.
Can I just go on the back of it?
Whatever you want to do, you guys know I go on the next page, but you can use back. Okay. So we're going to take voices off, please. We're going to do a few more examples, and you guys are going to have time to practice, and that's just what we're doing today. Okay. You are going to have a quiz on some of this stuff. Maybe Friday, maybe Monday next week.
Can you make it Monday? Friday. She won't be here on Friday. She needs to take
make it Friday.
Well, I don't know. It depends on how this week goes. It really depends on how things go. But the earliest would be Friday. Yeah. The earliest would be Friday. Still Monday. Plenty of time. Okay, so if you recall, back on this Thursday here, April 14th, we talked about, yes, sir.
Was this our first notes about this?
Yep. We only did one day, and then we jumped into spiral and other stuff.
Wait, so you said after these notes we don't practice paper?
Yes. Okay. So we talked about using square roots. So you would get the x value, x term by itself, and then take the square root of x squared. Who can tell me why this is plus or minus 3? Who remembers why?
Because it could be a negative 3.
Yeah. Yep, when you multiply a number times itself, if it's negative, you're still going to get a positive, right? So that's why this answer has to be plus or minus 3. And then our zeros then would be, now I could have done x plus 3 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0, but I know that they're going to end up being just these two values again, right? Does everybody understand what I mean there? So what we had done before when we were finding zeros is I would have taken the numbers and set them up to 0. But then when I subtract, I get x equals negative 3. And when I add, I get x equals 3. So I knew that my zeros were still going to just be the positive and negative 3. Right? Does everybody see what I'm talking about here? Do you remember when we did that? We set them up to 0. Is that ringing a bell?
Yeah.
Ish.
I think.
Sure. Okay. So then we did the same thing. We decided that x could be 0 because our x-intercept would just be right there at the origin. We drew a picture. Right? You should have that. And then down here, you can't have an answer here because nothing times itself will give you a negative number. Does that sound familiar? So there's no solution. What that means is, let's go ahead and draw this. That means that our parabola is not touching the x-axis at all. That's what that means. So that means that my parabola might be here.
Do you want us to draw this on the same page?
Yep. Or maybe it's here. Either way, it's not touching the x-axis. So that's why you don't have an x-intercept, because that's what we're trying to find.
Can it be touching the y-axis?
It can be touching y, it can go through y, but these are, remember, our zeros are where it crosses the x-axis. So what is our y value? Our y value is 0. What is our x value? Okay, so that's where we left off. Good times. All right, here we go. Page 2. Example 4. So this one would look a little different because we have a whole quantity that is squared. So I'm going to take the square root of this whole quantity and the square root of 25. So now I just have x minus 1 equals plus or minus 5, because the square root of 25 is plus or minus 5. I can't leave it like that, so I have to add 1 to both sides. So now I have x equals 1 plus or minus 5. So what's 1 plus 5? What's 1 minus 5? Negative 4. So there are my x values. I can't leave it like this. I actually have to do the addition and the subtraction to get the two values of x.
If that's the x equals negative 4.
Yes, because 1 minus 5 is negative 4. Yes?
Why don't you just like add the 1 to the 5?
That's what I was wondering.
You have to do both. I did add 1 plus 5 gave me 6, but this could also be a negative 5. So 1 minus the 5 gives me negative 4. Right? This is counting as, this number right here has to be plus or minus, like positive or negative 5, right? So because what's that?
There always will be like two solutions.
Yes. Unless there's no solution, or there's 1 and it's 0, and that means it crosses at the origin like this. Right? Bless you. Okay. Mackenzie, I feel like you're still not following what I did here.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay. All right. Number 5. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here is take the square root of both sides. So now I have my plus or minus 6. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So now I have 2x equals negative 1 plus or minus 6.
Wait, so if you're like trying to get the like if you're trying to get are you trying to get the x by itself?
Yep, we're not done yet.
Okay, I was gonna say just why was it okay.
Yep. So now I'm going to make 2 equations to solve. 2x equals 5 and 2x equals negative 7. Because I have negative 1 plus 6, negative 1 minus 6. Divide by 2 all the way across. So x equals 5 over 2. X equals negative 7 over 2. So that just means that my x-intercepts are negative 3.5 and positive 2.5 on the x-axis. Okay, you guys are going to do this last one by yourself.
We have two equations for this one.
Yep. Well, negative 5 plus 3 is, oh, yep, that would be negative 1 over 2. Thank you. Okay. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to pass out your practice page. My advice is going to be, if you're stuck, skip it and move on. Don't sit there and stare at the same question for 10 minutes. Skip it, move on to one you feel comfortable doing. We will regroup and go over the answers. You can work with the person next to you if you'd like.
Did you give us the wrong sheet?
Yeah, she does a really good job. And ice cream cake is kind of her. So the crunchies and the chocolates are all like